Hey family, how are you guys doing today? So I usually come on and I share all my expertise stuff and talk to you about business and starting a business and getting into business and staying in business and making money from your business and not letting your business kill you. All of the above, right? Hey Michael, how are you doing? So this time I was actually having a conversation with a young lady named Sharon that I had met probably about a year and a half ago. Hey, Sharon, I was just about to talk about you. So I met Sharon when I was in London, and it was so cool I'm trying in England because I think we're in Nottingham. Anyway, it was so cool to talk to her and work with her. She had just won this amazing competition, and I gave her some advice, and then she moved forward. And hi, Mandy. Hi, Kathy. And she's done, I've watched her, I've stalked her from a distance without her knowing. I'm always really interested in seeing, especially when someone sits down and they listen so intently to advice that you give them, how amazingly well they do when they take it and they move forward. It's like, for me, I get a little bit juice from that, quite honestly. So it's very selfish. When I give out help, it's very selfish because I want to see people succeed because it personally jacks me up. But anyway, one of the things, she's the second person, though, that I have to admit, she's the second person that said there's something about you since the last time I met you that was so different. Mandy said she used to ice skate at Nottingham Ice Rink. That's so cool. I think that's where we were speaking. I think it was in Nottingham because I kept looking for Robin Hood. Anyway, I know they're tired of that joke. I love it, though. Anyway, there were a couple of people. Sharon said it recently. My friend Nigel said it probably about, a few months ago. And actually, I think in November. And then another woman who I didn't even know very well said it when I was in Texas. And they all said the same thing. They said, something happened to you. Something has changed. You were a very different person about 6 months to a year ago. And I had confidence. I was very confident, but it was a confidence that I would say had what I call a bitch barrier around it, right? You had to be really strong to get through the level of confidence that I had. And in truth, I was very protective of myself. And so here's the thing. So I'm going to share this with you. I will tell you that for the most part, on the outside, it probably looked like I was a highly confident person. But and don't get me wrong, I could get on stage, I could deliver speeches, I can bring it like nobody's business. But on the inside, I was really breaking and broken and tearing down and not having the ability to even be vulnerable, right? And I can tell you exactly where that came from. I had lived a life where for many years, everything around me had to be perfect. And I don't mean kind of perfect, I meant perfect, because if it wasn't perfect, it was pointed out. So a really good example is I get up and I get dressed and I do my hair and I do my makeup and I make sure everything was perfect, and I'm picture ready, I'm stage ready, everything's ready, and I would get the comment of there's lint on your shirt, right? I never ever looking at the positive, but always pointing out there's lint right there. There's something wrong. It was always that constant nitpicking. And what happens when people constantly nitpick the things that are not right and they constantly tell you all the things that are wrong with you, and you hear them and they start coming inside, you believe them, what you start doing is you start building up this barrier on the outside. I mean, it's a real barrier. And people think that it's a mental barrier. It is not. It is a physical, real barrier because you're literally going like this and you're not letting people get close. Because if they get close, then they're going to find that you have lint right there. They're going to find that, your earring is twisted. They're going to pick at something that has to be corrected and perfect. And they're constantly looking, and you not realizing that people really aren't looking, but because the people closest to you have always been looking and picking and picking and picking and picking, you seriously start building up this barrier. And I built up this barrier. Well, the problem with building up a barrier like that is that there are people who might want to get close to you, who might want to care about you, who can't. And because they can't get close to you and they can't care about you, end up being in a place where you're very alone. It is a significant amount of solitude. And so when you have a problem, there's no one to reach out to. When you have an issue, there is no one to talk to. When things start going downhill, you tend to not only follow them downhill, but you get a shovel and you start digging, right? And you make it go lower until you hit rock bottom. So there was a point where I had hit that rock bottom. And that rock bottom for me was literally sitting for hours at a time, planning out exactly date, time, location, exactly how I was going to die. And this was not even a year. Like, this is not even a year ago. And I would just sit and cry. And I would sit and cry, and I would sit alone in my car for hours where no one could find me. And I had laid out exactly the plans on how I was no longer going to be here. And it was not pretense. And it wasn't one of those things where I was even reaching out to people and asking for help because there was no one to reach out to. It was literally me sitting and planning and having a very specific date. I had a date, time, location, a plan. I knew exactly how I was going to do it. I knew where it was going to happen. I knew I had it all laid out. And that's the extreme, right? That's clearly the extreme. When you get to that point where you know that this is going to happen. And I think in our world today of social media that we have lost some of that human connection. Some of that, it's one of the things that my social media manager is always telling me, you need to do this on your page. And I'm like, I don't want to do it on my page. I don't want to do this on my page. I want to do this where I can talk to people like Mandy and Brian. I want to be able to, I don't want to speak into an echo chamber. I've done that for too many years. And so there was a point where I was really there. And I had decided that I was done. And a friend of mine stayed on the phone with me one day. I forgot what we were talking about, but he said I didn't sound right. And he wouldn't hang up the phone. He would not that day hang up the phone. And I was calling to say goodbye, but he wouldn't hang up the phone. And him not hanging up the phone saved my life. And I say that literally because I had everything planned out. And he kept reminding me of my sons, who were grown-ups, by the way. And I know I'm not. But he reminded me of my sons, like, what are they going to do without you? You can't leave them. So it's one of those things where he started helping me become understanding and forgiving of myself. I could forgive everybody else in the world, but I could not forgive me for not being perfect. So yes, sometimes women have that perfection syndrome and that, what's the other one called? Imposter syndrome. Well, I had a friend, a male friend, right, who would literally get on the phone with me every single solitary day. And every day would have a conversation with me. And every day started making me say good things about myself, which I thought was, by the way, was the stupidest thing ever. How dare you? I mean, why should I be repeating this crap? Oh my God, it's so stupid. I thought everything was so stupid, so stupid. You probably got tired of hearing me say everything was so stupid. But you know what happened? What he really got me to start saying was, who gives a crap? Not who gives a crap about what other people think, but who gives a crap about the haters who nitpick at the fact that you have lint on your shirt, or the haters who make notice of you gaining or losing a few pounds. It was so funny because last year people went to NSA and people were like, oh my God, you lost so much weight. Oh my God, I was so depressed. Like I lost weight because I was literally so depressed. It was easy to do. I wasn't eating. I was trying to starve myself to death. And so it's like one of those, hey, you did great. I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't want to talk about it. But I came out on the other side because someone, literally someone, picked up the phone and they talked to me. And they didn't want anything from me, which, by the way, I will tell you, for people who have a high amount of confidence and they do a lot of things for other people, they don't know how to ask. It's one of our flaws. We don't know how to ask. And we do have a very much, if you call me, I will help you, but I'm never going to pick up the phone and call for help. And I will tell you, one of the reasons for that is because if someone picks up the phone and they call me and they ask me for something, I'm going to give it to them yesterday. They don't have to set up or schedule a date 8 weeks out. The challenge is that when I do the reverse, it's rare that I get that reciprocated. So of course, I think that people don't want to help, right? I love that Michael wrote, "Pain shared, pain lessened." And the guilt that I felt in sharing pain, the guilt that I felt in sharing pain was that I felt like I was giving my burden to someone else. And it was that person who literally taught me, "You're not giving it to me, you're letting me help you through it." And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how to let someone help me. So then how do you get to the other side? Well, what happened was I started becoming more vulnerable. And then suddenly I realized I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to have all the answers. And for the things that I do have answers to, I love to share them and help people with them. And for the things that I don't, right? I still love to get into great debates. I still love to have great arguments. I still love to leverage my ridiculously high IQ. And I'm still proud of the things that I do great. But the things that I don't do good, I don't do great. And I tell people all the time, I say, I lost 30 pounds last year. I was depressed. I gained 15 back. I'm cool with that. Like, I'm perfect. I'm perfect because I'm so imperfect. I'm human, right? And so it's finding that. And so, some of the things that I do is I give things a shot. I try. I say, hey, even coming up here at NSA, before the conference, I'm going to do a workshop, right? I'm going to show people literally like, how did I just closed the deal today with Starbucks based on an event, a speech that I changed following a formula from a year ago. And that formula, because see, here's the other thing. We don't tell these truths, right? So over a year ago, when I was doing speeches, I would do these great speeches. I get on stage, I could kill it. Mind you, the bitch barrier was probably up, right? Bitch barrier me, and I had to be the smartest person in the room. And that barrier made me unapproachable, but it also made me unable to make changes to what I thought was perfect. Because if I'm standing on stage and I'm giving speeches, then clearly the speech is perfect because people are giving me a standing ovation. But what I wasn't getting was I wasn't getting any follow-ups. I wasn't getting any follow-ups because of the speech and part of because of the bitch barrier. So what I did probably around, I guess it was about a year ago, I started changing the speech. It was one of those areas where I found that vulnerability coming out. And when I changed it to have these areas where I could be a little bit more vulnerable, let the audience come in a little bit more and literally use this formula, that took me from never, ever, ever, and I mean never getting a referral from a speech. I don't mean kind of. I meant I could give a speech with a standing ovation and never get one referral, to delivering a speech, one speech, all the time, that consistently gets 3 to 4 referrals. I literally just closed the deal with Starbucks today because I made that change, right? But so it's sharing that, Jesus, I sucked. I mean, I was good, like I was good, but I sucked because I wasn't getting this result. And what was I doing wrong? But I wasn't open enough to let people come in and show me what could be correct or what could be bettered. And so one of the things that I've learned is that the more vulnerable I have become over time, the more confident I've become. The easier it is for me to say, hey, there's something not working for me. It's not, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Michael wrote, one person helping another is without parallel. We help others by letting them help us. And I got to tell you that is a true statement because I couldn't let anyone help me until I finally did. And when I did, it changed my life because that Dawnna 1.0 I kind of said I did not commit physical suicide that day, but there was an emotional death of Dawnna 1.0, because that woman who was going to drag me down, that had to be perfect, that had serious imposter syndrome, that woman was 100%, she was killing me, and therefore she had to go. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to believe, because all they see is that I always smile and I'm always happy. But what you really need to know is that was an exterior that most people couldn't get on the inside of. They would hear, if they wanted to have a conversation with me, it was always about their business and how they were doing. And I'm a master at turning tables and asking people about their stuff and getting them talking. I teach other people how to do it. It's one of my arts of influence. So I knew how to hide behind that smile, and I did it for a very, very, very long time. Now, on the other side of that, it's probably about, I can honestly say 5 people that have said to me, seriously, probably since October, November timeframe, that egomaniac with an inferiority complex. Yes, that is a great way to describe me. I can honestly say that since November, there's probably been 5 people that have walked up to me that knew me before or even didn't know me and said, "Oh my God, you're a completely different person. Hey, Mark." And it's not that I'm completely different. It's that I'm more vulnerable. I'm more open. I'm more approachable. It's easier for people to come in and get to know me because I'm not so afraid of, there's a fear when you have this perfection complex of people getting in and finding your flaw and then ruining you. So I don't know, did I say hi, Mark? Hi, Mark. So it's the other side, right? So the other side of it is, it's kind of cool for me to hear when, like, Sharon used the word today, she goes, "You're so much more multidimensional." I take that as a huge compliment, because there is a barrier that I let down, and I have let more people in. And you know what I kind of say? They can decide whether they want to be there or not, and I still do have a bit of a barrier. Not everybody gets in, because I honestly can't handle stupid people for too long. But so I just can't. But I share this today because, especially for a lot of women, there is this complex that we have, right? That we have to be a certain amount of perfect. We have to be younger. We have to be in better shape. We have to be perfect. Every cover of every magazine tells us how we're not sexually satisfying our partner, how we're not losing enough weight, how we're not good enough in so many ways, right? We have all these people that consistently tell us this. There are things that I've never done, ever. Like, I've never sung in public, ever, ever, ever. And then there are people who will catch me and they're like, "You can sing?" And I'm like, no, right? Because I just don't think my voice is like Whitney Houston's, therefore I can't sing, right? So it's those things that we're constantly told and triggered and recognize that we're not good enough. And then there's a point where you have to get to and say, you know what, but mine not good enough is a whole hell of a lot greater than other people's great. And you know what, mine not good enough is great for the people who love me. Mine not good enough is fantastic for the people who need my help. Mine not good enough is good enough for me to get from today to tomorrow to the next day. And you know what, I don't want to reach my potential, because stars that reach their potential die. And I'm not trying to die. That's all I'm saying. Let's say Michael says, "Guys feel it too. We just fake it. We pretend we're bears." Yes, you guys do pretend you're bears. And this is something that I absolutely recognize impacts men. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed. You have to put on these airs. You have to be the big, strong guy all the time. And and that's why we see these famous, amazing people that are taking their lives, and people are going, "I just can't understand how that person took their life." I'm going to tell you, Madonna is not the best singer, LMAO. I'm going to tell you why those people, I'm not going to tell you that I know those people, but I'm going to tell you one of the reasons probably why those people took their lives. or why it's confusing to you is because you only saw the mask that that person was presenting to you. You never actually saw that person. So I would tell you these upcoming weeks, you know, as you're going out and as you're seeing people, turn the tables a little bit on the conversation. Don't let someone who consistently asks you about you not tell you about them. One of the things that I do now when I'm talking to anyone about their day is I never ask them how their day was. I ask them things like, and try this with your significant other or with anyone that you meet. Don't say, how are you doing? How was your day? Whatever. Ask them, what's the best part of your day today? What was the one thing that you achieved that you absolutely are proud of? What's the one thing that just frustrated the crap out of you today that you wish you could get past? What's the thing that you want to do that you can't do? What's the one thing that's kicking your butt today that you're like, holy crap? I mean, just really, really, really ask those questions. Not just how are you doing, but how are you doing it? Like, really get in there and get people to talk more about themselves and make sure that they reciprocate to you so that you can share. And don't be afraid to share your imperfections, because those will make you perfect. Don't send out your representative. It's okay. I've learned. I don't have to send out my rep. I can send out me. Anyway, guys, if you're going to be at NSA in Dallas on the 13th and the 13th, I'm going to show people that formula that I use to literally turn around my speech, like without making crazy, ridiculous big changes, but to turn it around so that I could get more referrals from the stage without selling. And then I'm doing that on the night of the 13th and the morning of the 14th. It's $99, and I'm hosting it 2 miles from the Anacle. So if you're going to be there and you really, really want to just, it's not hard, and it's only open to 12 people. It's not hard, but the reason I'm keeping it small is because I really want to help the people who show up with their speech. I don't want 1,000 people to show up and then I can't help them. I really want you to bring your content so I can show you specifically what you need to do. So if you know your opening, if you know your key points, I'm going to ask you some transitional statements and phrases that you use and stuff like that so we can really nail this down for you. Anyway, and I was just talking to Sharon, and it looks like I'm going to do the $1 Million Mansion Retreat in London, and it's going to be the £1 Million Retreat, I guess. And we're looking at September 14th through the 17th, and it's going to be, you come in on the evening of the 14th. We're going to do a full day of work on the 15th and 16th, and then we're heading out travel day on, you can leave either the night of the 16th, which is a Sunday, or you can leave the morning of the 17th. But it is a full 2 days of just working your business. So if you really want to, if you're in London, if in the London area, and you want to, it looks like we're going to do it in Leeds. We're finalizing the location. But it's an all-inclusive retreat you're going to stay in the mansion. It's only a 2-dayer, so it's 2 nights, 2 days. And I think we're looking at $1,000, right? It's $1,000 if you share a room. It's $1,500 if you don't share a room. And it's for if you are already in the London area. So, or if you want to fly over, we don't mind, I'm going to be there. Anyway, that's going to be the 14th through the 17th. And then after that, I'm speaking again in London for another client. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a fantastic day. And I hope this finds you. I hope this helps you. I really do. And by the way, if you ever want to just call me and talk to me and get it off your chest and tell me what's totally messed up about you, I won't tell anyone. This is a vault. Please pick up the phone and call me, because I'd hate to lose someone absolutely exceptional. Talk to you guys later.